how to de-stress and relax during. Now, I think there's a few people still joining us, so we're just going to wait a few moments and let them get ready. So just before we get started, I'd like to go over a few items just so you know how to participate in today's event. So I've taken a screenshot of an example of what your interface should look like. So you should see something that looks like this on your own computer desktop, just in the upper right-hand corner. So it's just letting you know that you're using your computer's audio system and you'll be muted for the duration of the webinar. But you'll still have the opportunity to submit text questions, so you can type any questions you have in that question pane that I've highlighted for you. Now you can send your questions in at any time during the presentation, and what I'll do is I'll collect them all and answer them during the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. So I would just like to introduce myself. So my name is Dr. Heather Meikle. I'm a counselling psychologist, and I also work as a clinical projects officer at First Psychology Scotland. So I've been working at First Psychology for nearly 2 years now, first as a student and then as a practitioner delivering one-to-one therapy. So now I work both in delivering therapy and also in developing other resources for clients, including this webinar series. So I'd be really keen to hear your feedback about what you've enjoyed about today or things that you think we could improve on after the webinar. So in today's webinar, we're going to look at some of the things that might be causing us additional stress when we're in lockdown and how we might cope with this. So to do that, we're going to take a look at two friends of mine, Jim and Karen, who are struggling to cope right now with the new restrictions. So you'll also have a chance to ask any questions you might have at the Q&A session at the end. So Jim is in his early 30s and he is a self-employed graphic designer. So he's able to work from home just now, but he's finding that he is getting fewer clients coming to him for work, and that some of his clients are struggling to pay him at the moment. So he's quite stressed about the impact that this lockdown is going to have on his business and his finances, and as a result he is having some trouble sleeping and he's spending more time working, but he's being less productive than usual. So he's blaming some of this lack of productivity on his environment because he doesn't have a proper workspace and he's finding the house quite distracting. He's also becoming more irritable with his wife, who he feels doesn't really understand the stress that he is under, and she keeps asking him to help out around the house when he's trying to work, and this is making him feel even more stressed. So he's not spending as much time with his partner as usual, as he's trying to make up for lost work time during the day by working longer hours in the evening, and he feels like things at home are getting a bit more tense because of this, and he's starting to feel quite guilty. So poor Jim, he's not sleeping well, he's feeling stressed and anxious about his business, he doesn't have a good workspace, he's spending all his time working and not doing the things he used to enjoy, and he's feeling guilty about neglecting his relationship with his partner. Poor Jim. So we're just going to take a quick look at Karen now. So Karen is a nursery worker and she is off work at the moment. So she's in her late 30s, she's got 2 young kids, and she lives with her husband who is working from home as an IT consultant. So Karen's spending almost all day and evening trying to keep her kids entertained, keep them learning something, and she's not getting any time for herself. She's not getting any support from her parents or her sister, who would usually help her look after the kids because of the lockdown. She doesn't want to ask her husband to help because he's working from home. So as a result, she is running herself ragged. She's making all the meals, trying to do all the housework, and is chasing after the kids all day. She's finding herself getting more snappy with them because they're complaining about not getting outside to see her friends, not getting their favourite snacks from the shops, and she's going to bed absolutely exhausted at about 9 o'clock and she's still struggling to sleep. So she's feeling quite guilty that she's not doing a good job. She's not doing a good enough job as a mother to keep her kids busy and happy during the day, and is too tired to spend time with her husband in the evening. She's not showered in a week and she's just feeling really rubbish. So poor Karen is on 24/7 mum mode and she's beating herself up for feeling like she's not doing a good enough job. She's not got time to do anything for herself and she's becoming more exhausted and hopeless as a result. So I want to do a quick poll and find out who has felt like Karen in the last, or Jim, in the last few weeks. So just select the appropriate response and click submit. So whether you feel exactly like Jim or Karen, maybe somewhat like Jim or Karen, or if you felt nothing like Jim or Karen. So it looks like most of you have responded. So those of you who have not yet responded, go ahead and submit your responses now, and I'll close the poll in a few moments. So I'm just going to close the poll now, and I'm just going to share the results with you. So it looks like most of you said you're feeling it somewhat like Karen or Jim, and some of you feeling nothing like Jim or Karen, and we've maybe all got slightly different situations. So I just want to ask you another question. I just want to see, how confident do you feel about being able to cope with your stress right now? So same again, just select the appropriate response, whether you're feeling very confident, somewhat confident, actually your stress is quite overwhelming or frightening for you, or somewhere in the middle. So if you've not yet responded, go ahead and submit your response now, and I'll close the poll in a few moments. Okay, so I'm just closing the poll and I'm going to share the results with everyone. So it looks like some of you are feeling somewhat confident, and quite a lot of you are not feeling very confident at all. So definitely some room for improvement there. Now let's get back to Jim and Karen and how we might help them, and we can see if we can't get some more of you to feel more confident about coping with your stress as well. So Jim, if we remember, is feeling very stressed about his business and his relationship. So we're going to try and help him accept and adapt to these stressors using some cognitive behavioural therapy techniques. So we're first going to help Jim plan a daily routine to help him find a better work-life balance and try and help him improve his sleep as well. So we're going to do this using a worksheet a bit like this, just to schedule in things like meals, breaks, exercise, hobbies and work tasks. And just to let you know, all the worksheets that I'll be showing you today are made available as handouts that you can access during or at the end of the webinar. So I'm just going to zoom in on this section here and we can see what it will look like for Jim if we fill in Monday for him. So we've just made a note here. So Jim's going to get up about 8 o'clock. He's going to take a shower, have his breakfast, and then he's going to check his emails. So it's quite good to block out a certain amount of time for checking your emails rather than dipping in and out of them during the day if you can, because that can help you be a bit more productive. So we've just made a note of when he's going to work, when he's going to take a break. We've also put in he's going to go out for a cycle about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and he's going to spend some time with his partner and he's going to relax watching some TV and maybe reading a book before he goes to bed. So we're going to try and encourage Jim to stick to this schedule as much as possible and not sacrifice any of his hobbies or his exercise for work, because these are crucial in helping elevate his mood and reduce his stress. So it can also help increase productivity, so he can still get some important work tasks done even though he's spending less time on them. So next, we're going to try and help Jim challenge some of his unhelpful thinking patterns. So how do we go about understanding what these are? So here's a worksheet that I quite like to use to identify some of the most common unhelpful thinking patterns that we all do. So Jim has stated that his main negative thoughts are, if I don't get enough work coming in, I'm going to go broke and lose my business. If I don't come up with new ways to generate income, I'll be a failure. And if I don't make enough money, my family will be disappointed in me. So by looking at this sheet, I would say that Jim seems to be catastrophizing or overestimating a negative outcome, and that's the one that's highlighted on the right-hand side there. He also seems to be thinking overly self-critical thoughts, so he's going to be a failure if he doesn't manage his business more successfully. That's the one that's highlighted at the bottom left there. And finally, it looks like he's attempting some mind reading by assuming what his family will think of him if they see him struggle. Now we're going to use a worksheet like this to help Jim challenge some of his negative thoughts that come up most often. So I'm just going to use those thoughts that Jim stated before, and we're just going to pretend that that happened on Monday afternoon when he was looking over his finances. Those thoughts came up. We've also recorded how he was feeling at the time he was thinking those. So quite anxious and stressed, a bit depressed, guilty and ashamed. And we've also asked Jim to report out of 100% how much he believes those thoughts. So you can see that he believes them all quite strongly. They're all about 80 or 90%. So we're now going to question the validity of these thoughts and try and help Jim come up with some more realistic alternative appraisals of his situation. So I'm going to ask Jim whether he thinks any other businesses are running as successfully now as they were before the lockdown, or if he knows of any businesses that are maybe struggling. So he's agreed that he's heard of lots of businesses closing, but that this only makes it more important that he keeps working because he can't afford to close. So I've asked him if he thinks any other businesses are coping with being closed or struggling. And he said he supposed they might be getting some support from the government, bank loans, dipping into their savings, or getting some help from friends and family. So I've asked him if this is something that he could also do, and he's agreed that it might be a possibility as he has quite a lot of money saved up, and he's also saving a lot of money on travel and eating out now that he's working from home and seeing clients online. So I've asked him what a more realistic alternative thought might be for this then, and he said that his business might struggle during the lockdown, but that he probably has enough saved up and could ask for other support to keep things afloat and maybe sacrifice some luxuries such as holidays in the meantime. So as you can see, I've asked him how much he believes his original thought now, and he's reported that his belief has gone down quite a lot. So we're going to do the same with his other thoughts. So we're just challenging his belief that he's a failure if he can't adapt his business to function perfectly during the lockdown. So he said he's trying to work in extremely difficult circumstances, and he said it's okay to struggle because he would never criticise his friends if they were in the same position that he is. And as well, challenging his belief that his family would be disappointed in him. I asked, if he would be disappointed in his partner if things were reversed, and he said no, he'd only be worried about her and want to help her however he could. So as you can see, we've managed to get his belief in those original thoughts to come down quite a lot by doing that. So far we've helped Jim to think a bit more realistically about the consequences of isolation and lockdown on his business and his relationship. And we've encouraged him to boundary his work time and engage in more activities that he enjoys. So as a result, he's experiencing a slightly better mood and a slight increase in productivity, but he's still finding himself getting a bit overwhelmed with work tasks and getting irritable with his wife. So we're going to try and help him manage his work tasks a bit more effectively and try and help him communicate better with his wife as well. So the first thing we're going to do to try and achieve this is we're going to get Jim to look at the worry tree. So I'll just explain what the worry tree is. So it's asking you right at the top there to notice what it is you're worrying about. And then it goes on to ask you, is this worry about a current problem? Are you worrying about a hypothetical situation? And can you do something about your worry? So if you're worrying about a hypothetical situation or worrying about something that you cannot control, you would go down the left branch where it says no. You would try and let that worry go, change your focus of attention and focus on something else. If it is a current problem and you can do something about it, you would go down that right-hand branch where it says yes, and you would come up with an action plan of what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and how you're going to do it. And if it's something you can do now, you're going to get that done, and then you're going to try and let the worry go and change your focus of attention onto something else. If it's something that you can't do until later, you're going to schedule that in and you're going to let that worry go and change your focus of attention until it's time to go back to the task. So we're going to ask Jim to start to prioritise the work tasks that he can do something about and accept what things are out of his control during the lockdown. So this will also help Jim to plan how he's going to tackle problems. So by breaking his problems down and planning when he'll act realistically within his schedule, Jim is starting to feel less overwhelmed by his work tasks and he's starting to feel more productive. He also finds that he's better able to stop worrying about work tasks in the evenings and he's sleeping better as a result. So to increase his productivity even more and to try and help improve his relationship with his wife, we're going to encourage Jim to discuss some boundaries with his partner. So healthy boundaries are a really important part of a healthy relationship. And if you want to know more about this, then look out for our next webinar on managing household conflict during lockdown, where we're going to go into this in a lot more depth. But for just now, we're just going to look at how Jim can boundary working from home. So Jim and his partner agree that some boundaries will help them get their needs met. So for example, there might be certain hours of the day that Jim's wife isn't going to disturb him so he can get work done. And he's also agreed to help her with more tasks around the house. He's even going to cook her dinner 3 nights a week. So by communicating his needs to his wife and listening to hers, they find that they're able to meet each other's expectations more and have less reason to argue. And by beginning to enjoy the time that they're spending together more, they're starting to do more activities together, including going out for a walk, getting dressed up for date night, and binge watching the latest season of Ozark together. So now Jim is feeling more relaxed as he's spending more time exercising, spending time with his partner, and pursuing his hobbies. So he's feeling less stressed as he's managed his expectations for work, he's prioritised tasks, and accepted what he can't control. And he's planned how and when he'll do tasks, meaning that he's able to switch off from work at the end of the day. So well done, Jim. So we're going to move on to Karen now. So Karen is feeling very stressed about looking after her kids 24/7 by herself and it feels like she's not doing a good enough job. So we're going to try and help Karen adapt to and alter some of her stressors using some more cognitive behavioural techniques and some relaxation techniques. So first, we're going to help Karen challenge her supermum expectations. So these are reflected in the kinds of thoughts that Karen most frequently reports, and these are the most common in people with quite high levels of perfectionism. So I'm just going to highlight what they are on that unhelpful thinking patterns worksheet that we saw before. So Karen seems to be doing quite a lot of self-criticism. She feels like she's never doing good enough. She's also got a lot of shoulds and musts or high expectations for herself. So we're going to ask Karen to write down what she thinks a person has to do in order to be a good mum. So Karen has written down things like always make your kids healthy meals, always do lots of educational activities with them, never get bored or tired of spending time with your kids, and never need any help. So we're going to ask Karen if she knows any mums who do all of those things, and surprisingly she can't think of anyone, neither can I. So we've asked her if her list seems realistic and she's agreed that it might be a bit much. So we're going to help Karen to write a more realistic list of expectations of a good mum. So she's included things like a good mum sometimes makes her kids healthy meals, but also sometimes eats frozen pizza and chicken nuggets. A good mum sometimes does educational activities with her kids, but sometimes also eases up on their screen time, especially when they're away from their friends. A good mum needs a break sometimes. A good mum asks for help from others when they're struggling, and most importantly, that a good mum looks after herself. So we're going to focus on those last two there and see if we can't help Karen brainstorm some ways that she can get some help looking after the kids and get herself a wee bit of a break. So she agrees to set out a plan with her husband where they're going to rotate who's in charge of meals and bedtime so that they'll each get some evenings off. And that's going to be her time to recharge. So we're also going to recommend that she reaches out to her support system when she feels overwhelmed, whether that's talking to her husband and asking for help, as well as maybe video chatting or phoning her family and friends, just to have a moan or to get some reassurance that she's doing okay. So now that Karen has made some time for herself every day, we're going to look at how she can spend it. So we don't want her spending it doing laundry or housework. So we're going to make a list with her of some relaxation activities that she could do. So she's mentioned some things like taking a bath, reading a book, having a cup of tea, maybe getting takeout, listening to some music, doing some gardening. And I've also suggested maybe doing some mindfulness. Now, Karen's not very sure what mindfulness is all about. So mindfulness is very good at relaxing the central nervous system and lowering your body's natural stress response. So mindfulness is about being present in whatever you're doing without judgment and not worrying about the past or the future, but fully experiencing the present moment. So it's great for relaxing as it gives your brain a bit of a break from the usual non-stop problem solving that it's doing the rest of the day by focusing completely on the task at hand. So there's some ways that we can incorporate mindfulness into our daily lives, and that can be through meditation, but it can also be by doing things mindfully, such as mindfully eating, mindfully cooking, mindfully doing the dishes, or just mindfully breathing. So Karen said that she's quite keen to try mindfully cooking, but she's not really sure how. So we're going to encourage her to really focus on the experience of cooking, exploring her five senses while she cooks. So noticing the smells, the tastes, the noises, the colours, and what she can touch. So an example of this might be when she's making fajitas. So I've got this picture up for you so you can play along if you like. And just start to notice what the smells of the fajita seasoning, what the noises of the vegetables are sizzling in the pan, the colours of the different peppers and tomatoes and avocados, and maybe the sensation of the wooden spoon you're holding, how your mouth starts watering a bit as you smell the cooking. So by focusing on her senses, Karen is being present and fully experiencing her activity of cooking, and she's not worrying about what she needs to buy from the shops tomorrow and whether she'll have time to shower tonight. So we're going to give Karen some extra mindfulness resources just to help her practice mindful breathing and meditation when she's in bed, either in the morning or in the evening, just to help improve her sleep and set her up for the day. So if you want to know any more about mindfulness, I'll encourage you to check out some of the podcasts and self-help booklets that are in the handouts, and I'm also going to link you to at the end. So Karen is feeling much better already. She is loving getting a break from the kids to do the things that she wants to do and feels much less lonely with the support of her husband and her family. She's being less critical of herself as she's lowered her expectations, and she's getting more validation from her husband about just how challenging it is having the kids home all day, every day. Her sleep is also starting to improve as she's practicing her mindfulness every evening to relax her body and mind and let go of her worries of the day. So today we've managed to help both Jim and Karen to adapt to their new situation and practice some more helpful thinking patterns and helpful behaviours that are helping them to relax and de-stress. So if you want to learn more about any of the techniques that I've mentioned today, I'd encourage you to check out some of First Psychology's podcasts and self-help booklets. So the podcast can be found on SoundCloud just by searching for First Psychology, and the handouts should be made available to you in the webinar. So I just want to ask you the same question I asked at the beginning of the presentation, just see if anyone's answers have changed. So just same again, how confident do you feel about being able to cope well with your stress right now? So if you've not responded yet, go ahead and submit your response and I'll close the poll in a few moments. I'm just going to close the poll and I'm going to share the results with everyone. So it looks like the majority of you are still feeling somewhat confident, but we've got more people feeling very confident. So it seems like there's been a bit of an increase, so that's absolutely great. So if there's anything else that you might like to know that could improve your confidence even more, you're about to get your chance to ask. So that is everything for the presentation side of things. So we're now going to begin answering the questions that you've submitted through the questions pane. So our first question is from Alicia. So she's asked how she can adapt these tools if she's living alone. She's currently off work and she's not got a very busy schedule. So I would definitely encourage you, Lisa, to look to use some of the tools that we kind of talked about. So with the activity planning, we can, oh, I think I've actually still got the poll up. So we're going to hide that now. Perfect. So that should be a bit better. So yeah, so Alicia, so use some of the activity planning. So even if you've not got as much on like work during the day, you can use, just think of the things that you would be doing, whether that's exercising, learning something new, you might be doing some CPD or trying to learn a new skill that you've always wanted to learn. You might want to schedule in time to chat to your friends, to chat to your family, to get outside, and maybe just spend some time relaxing. So by scheduling and structuring your day a bit more, you should be able to feel a little less bored and have a little less time to worry. You could also adapt the unhelpful thinking tools in the thought challenging worksheet to try and identify any anxious or unhelpful thoughts you're having and how you might be able to challenge those. And I know that especially if you're living alone, we quite often spend more time, on looking at the news or in social media. So the World Health Organization definitely encourages people to limit the amount of news coverage that they're consuming about the coronavirus to help manage their anxiety as well. So hopefully that helps to answer your question. So we've got another question from Youssef. So he's saying, how can he de-stress if he's living with a lot of roommates and they're kind of struggling to share space with each other, not got much privacy? So definitely that's like a really good point. We might be sharing a lot of space and feel like we've not got anywhere to engage in any of these activities like mindfulness or exercise. So I definitely recommend doing something like a rota to just lay out for everyone, who's going to be where, when, and what they're going to be doing. So that can include chores, but it can also include things like watching TV, who's playing on the games console, who's in the kitchen, who's out in the garden, and everyone should be able to get some privacy during the day. But remember, we are in social isolation, so you're only really going to be seeing the people that you're living with. So staying connected is really important. So scheduling in some activities that you can all do together, whether that's playing a video game, playing a board game, watching a movie, or I know there's a lot of online pub quizzes happening just now. It's really good to try and stay connected. So I'm just going to see what other questions we've got, see if we've got time for one more. Okay, so who have we got? Someone just leaving a nice comment there, so that's great that they've gotten a lot out of the webinar. So I think that might be all that we've got time for just now. So I just want to thank everyone for attending today's webinar. So this has been how to de-stress and relax during isolation. If you've got any other questions or I didn't have time to get to you, please do get in touch, you've got our email address, or have a look on our website. There's plenty of resources there, or some of the handouts or the podcasts. And once you leave today's webinar, you will receive a survey on the presentation. So we'd appreciate if you could complete that and give us some feedback. Just let us know if we're doing anything well and if we can do anything better. And you also receive a follow-up email within 24 to 48 hours with a link to view a recording. So if you've thought there were some good things coming up today, but you're worried that you're not going to be able to remember them, you can go back and refresh your memory at any time. So if you've enjoyed today's webinar, I would really encourage you to check out some of our upcoming webinars. So there's going to be a link for next week's webinar after in your emails, and that's on resolving household conflicts during lockdown. And then the week after that, we're also going to be looking at helping children cope with the lockdown. So once again, on behalf of First Psychology and myself, thank you so much for joining me today and have a great rest of your day. Bye.